Alexandra Eala didn't just show up at Indian Wells. She arrived as a seeded player. If you grasp the weight of that achievement, then you understand this is a defining chapter for her. This moment serves as a powerful declaration because, for the first time in her rising career, the 20-year-old Filipino star isn't scraping through the qualifying rounds, grinding it out in the shadows, or praying for a favorable draw. She is ranked in the top 32. She earned a first-round bye. She belongs here, and that shift in status changes the entire game. Let's pause for a moment to take this in. Indian Wells, frequently hailed as the fifth Grand Slam, is far more than just another standard WTA 1000 event. It is a true proving ground. It is where the elite of the sport descend upon the California desert to see who is truly prepared for the grueling season ahead. It represents pure prestige and immense pressure. We are talking about $1.15 million for the winner and 1,000 ranking points that can reshape the entire tour. Alex Eala is stepping onto this stage as the 31st seed in the world. That specific number carries more weight than most realize. On February 23rd, when the seeding deadline was finalized, Eala reached a career-high ranking of world number 31. That milestone was not a product of luck or marketing hype. It was earned through grit. Just days prior in Dubai, she delivered one of the most significant victories of her professional life. She absolutely stunned Jasmine Paolini in straight sets, 6-1 and 7-6. This was not just any version of Paolini. At that moment, she was ranked within the top 8 players globally. Eala did not just scrape by with a narrow win. She commanded the opening set and maintained incredible composure during a high-stakes tiebreaker. That single victory signaled exactly what many had been sensing for months. Alex Eala is no longer just a prospect for the future. She has officially arrived. While she eventually lost to Coco Gauff in the Dubai quarterfinals with a tough score of 0-2, the context behind the match is vital. Gauff is a top 4 powerhouse and a reigning Grand Slam champion. She attacks short balls with a level of intensity that feels personal. Despite that defeat, Eala gained something far more precious than a single win: massive ranking momentum and 215 points. That leap propelled her from number 47 in the world to 31. This surge unlocked a new level of opportunity because being in the top 32 at a WTA 1000 is a massive advantage. It guarantees a bypass the first round. It means dodging early traps in the draw and being treated as one of the elite competitors. In a field of 96 players, only 32 are seeded. The other 64 athletes have to fight for their lives immediately. They must survive the opening round just for the privilege of facing someone like Eala in the round of 64. Consider the magnitude of that status shift. Only 1 year ago in Miami, Eala entered as a wildcard ranked around 140 in the world. She was the ultimate underdog then. She was the feel-good story, the surprise semifinalist who stunned the tennis community and propelled herself into the top 75. Now, she is a seeded player. That level of evolution in under 12 months is staggering. But here is the real question that makes things interesting. Is she truly ready to make a deep run? Indian Wells is absolutely stacked with talent, featuring world number 1, Aryna Sabalenka, at the top. Sabalenka brings raw power, confidence, and fearless aggression from the baseline. She is the current gold standard, followed closely by Iga Swiatek. Swiatek is a tactical genius with relentless consistency, a player capable of suffocating her opponents without ever breaking her composure. Then there is Elena Rybakina, with her clean ball striking and massive serve, alongside Coco Gauff, the star who recently halted Eala's run in Dubai. The field includes Jessica Pegula, Amanda Anisimova, and Jasmine Paolini, plus defending champion Mira Andreeva, one of the most dangerous young talents in tennis. This is not a tournament with a soft draw, but here is the fascinating twist in the story. Eala avoids that early gauntlet entirely. She makes her entrance in the round of 64 with a clear head, benefiting from extra rest and vital time to analyze her potential opponent. In a sport of inches, that is not just a luxury, it is a tactical weapon. If she can string together a series of victories, the projections become genuinely frightening for the rest of the tour. A deep run into the quarterfinals or semifinals could shatter her previous ceiling. Once a player breaks into the elite top 30, the geometry of the draws shifts, the level of respect rises, and the weight of expectations intensifies. We need to be honest about the reality of this transition. There is a new kind of pressure here. When you transition from being the gritty underdog to a seeded favorite, the entire narrative changes. Opponents now circle your name in red on their calendars. The media begins to ask tougher questions, and the fans start to demand consistent excellence. The honeymoon phase is officially over. For a 20-year-old, that is a heavy burden to carry. But what makes Eala so compelling is her ice-cold composure. She never celebrates before the job is finished. She has no interest in chasing headlines. Her game is built on a foundation of heavy topspin forehands, disciplined baseline patterns, and highly intelligent point construction. She does not rely on brute force alone. She uses her mind, and the unique conditions at Indian Wells are designed to reward the thinkers. The slower desert courts cause the rallies to stretch out, making patience and shot selection the ultimate currencies. Physical fitness is absolutely non-negotiable here. If her recent performances have taught us anything, it is that she is perfectly equipped to handle these long, grueling exchanges. That breakthrough in Dubai was about much more than just the upset of Paolini. It was a visible shift in her internal belief, and you could read it in her every move. With her shoulders back and staying perfectly calm between points, she showed zero panic during the most intense moments. That version of Eala is dangerous, but we should look at the bigger picture. This journey is about more than just a single tournament. Following Indian Wells is Miami, a place that holds significant emotional weight for her. Her incredible semifinal run there last year was the catalyst that changed her entire career trajectory. It pulled her from relative obscurity into the very heart of the tennis conversation. Consider the potential scenario. She goes deep in Indian Wells, cracks the top 30, and then walks to Miami, not as a Cinderella story, but as a seeded powerhouse. That would represent a complete professional transformation in less than 12 months. This is why her debut as a seed at Indian Wells is so much more than a statistic on paper. It is a signal of her permanent arrival. Regarding the matchups, we are still waiting on her specific opponent while the first round concludes, but whoever wins that battle will have already endured a high-intensity match. That opponent will likely be tested and potentially fatigued, perhaps even emotionally spent. Eala will enter the court fresh, and at this elite level of tennis, the margins are microscopic. A half step of lag or a split second of hesitation is all it takes. That tiny gap is the difference between moving forward and heading to the airport. She holds the advantage of preparation, but she has earned something even more valuable: respect. Players ranked in the 60s and 70s no longer see her as an easy win. They have seen her take down top 8 opponents and fight her way into the quarterfinals of 1,000-level events. The scouting reports on her have evolved, and that fundamental shift changes how her opponents approach every point. Some will attempt to be hyper-aggressive to avoid her long rallies, while others might overthink and tighten up. Regardless, she is no longer the unknown variable. We have to address the elephant in the room, which was that tough loss to Coco Gauff. Some critics might argue she still has a significant gap to close against the world's absolute best. While the score was certainly harsh, growth in professional tennis is never a straight line. You do not jump from number 47 to defeating the top 5 players in a single night. You chip away at the deficit and gather essential experience. You learn to navigate pace, spin variation, and serve placement under the highest levels of pressure. Dubai was not a failure. It was an essential checkpoint. Indian Wells stands as the next major examination. The champion here walks away with 1,000 ranking points and $1.15 million, which is life-changing money. That kind of prize creates season-shifting momentum. Am I predicting she wins the entire tournament? Let's stay grounded because the draw is absolutely brutal. The top seeds are established powerhouses. But can she make it to the second week? Absolutely. Can she upset a higher seed? Based on the recent evidence, the answer is yes. And if she pulls it off, the headlines won't dismiss it as a fluke. They will call it a confirmation. When a player reaches number 31 in the world at just 20 years old, the trajectory almost always points toward the top. There is also a profound, symbolic weight to this moment for Philippine tennis. For decades, the nation has searched for a breakthrough star on the global stage. Now they have one who isn't just a participant, but a seeded contender at one of the most prestigious tournaments outside the Grand Slams. That kind of representation carries immense weight. It inspires the next generation and puts a massive spotlight on every single match she plays. Pressure has a way of breaking some players, but for others, it acts as a sharpening stone. The next 2 weeks in the California sun will show us exactly which category she falls into. Here is the curiosity that keeps me watching. What if her performance in Dubai was just the opening act? What if that dominant first set against Paolini was a preview of her new standard? What if the gap between her and the top 5 is closing much faster than anyone anticipated? We are about to find out because the desert has a unique way of revealing the truth. With long rallies, high bounces, and tactical chess matches, you simply cannot fake readiness in this environment. That is why this tournament feels like the ultimate measuring stick, not just for her ranking, but for her internal belief. If she manages the second round with composure and builds momentum, her confidence will begin to compound. Tennis is a psychological battleground. Once you take down a few elite opponents in a row, the internal dialogue shifts from asking if you can win to asking why you wouldn't. Once that switch flips, a career changes forever. So, here is my honest perspective. This is no longer a question of whether Alexandra Eala belongs at Indian Wells. She has already proven her place. This is about whether she is prepared to accelerate her ascent. Reaching the top 30 is within her grasp, and the top 20 is no longer a fantasy. If she navigates this draw with intelligence, the rest of the tour is going to start preparing for her rather than the other way around. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. Is this the tournament where Alexandra Eala officially transforms into a top-tier threat, or does she still need one more major breakthrough before we place her in that elite category? Drop your predictions below on how far she goes at Indian Wells. One thing is absolutely certain. The 5th Grand Slam just became a lot more unpredictable. If you have been paying close attention, you know this rise was not an overnight sensation. It has been built point by point, ranking jump by ranking jump, and statement win by statement win. The desert stage is finally set, and her seed is locked in. Now, we get to see how much further this story grows. This is the reason we watch. This is exactly why we care about the sport. And this is why the debut of Alexandra Eala as a seeded player at Indian Wells might just be the start of something far bigger than a second-round bye. This is the Red Dust Report, where the stories of tennis don't just unfold, they ignite.